Welcome back to Living Local. It's time here now on our Thursday to check in with Movie Mike for some new options in theaters and streaming and everywhere else.
Yeah.
Mike Schultz, as always, arts editor for the River Cities Reader, is here in studio. Mike, thanks for coming in.
Pleasure to be back.
All right, so before we get to the new stuff, we'll talk about some old stuff. We got to catch up a little bit from the holiday last week. Our first one here that you reviewed for us was the new Ghostbusters movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife. What I gathered from reading your review, I mean, we'll just pick out a few words here. One of them was toothless. The other one was dopey.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But you do have to provide some context.
That sounds like me.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, this feels like it opened like 8 years ago.
Yes.
We were saying off camera. But it's still here, and it's only been 2 weeks since it's been out, and it is built for super fans. Let's just get that out of the way.
Right.
I am not a super fan. I thought the first three were just fine. I enjoyed all of them pretty similarly. But this one is set in Oklahoma in the present day. Ghosts are back. That's all you need to know about the plot, really. But it is so filled with Easter eggs and callbacks to the rest of the series and characters that you've forgotten and items like a Twinkie gets a close-up for like 5 seconds and you're like, was that important, in 1984? I don't remember. I didn't find it very funny. It certainly doesn't have the spirit of the other ones. It's not anarchic in any way. It's a very nice kind of dramedy feel, Stranger Things kind of feel to it. It does have a tremendous lead actor in it, though. McKenna Grace, there she is, basically doing a feature-length Harold Ramis impersonation as his grandchild. She's wonderful. I loved her in it. The rest of it I was so-so on. So, but if you're a super fan, you're going to have a good time with it.
Right. Yeah. And if you want to get it, maybe you should go watch the other, the original movie first. That would probably help.
Probably.
Yeah. We might get you refreshed. All right. Let's go to animation now for our next one.
Oh yeah.
The Disney movie is out. Encanto is
Encanto. We didn't even chat about this last time we were on air because I thought it was going to be a very normal, pleasant Disney film, with
Disney,
exactly, good morals,
a
a lot of color. It is, bar none, my favorite Disney movie since Zootopia from like 5 years ago, and my favorite Disney musical since The Lion King 27 years ago. I love this movie enormously. It's about a family in Colombia. They have a magical house, and all the family members have one super magical power each, except for our lead, Mirabel, who does not have any superpowers at all. And basically goes about trying to solve the mystery of why the house is cracking and crumbling and kind of falling apart, even though she doesn't have any special gifts with which to find this out. I thought it was going to be kind of typical in terms of, but it's going to be 90 minutes of her learning, even though I don't have superpowers, I'm still special.
You're still special.
It's not that at all. It takes a completely different turn. It also has terrific songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda that are wonderful. The animation is breathtakingly beautiful in this. It's really, really funny. John Leguizamo voices character who's hilarious. I could not have had more fun if I tried. And it was just wonderful.
Musically very strong, even though it doesn't always have, even though you didn't really get a lot of the earworm songs.
Yeah, there's no Let It Go in this one or anything like that, but they're all kind of right for the moment and beautifully composed. Take the family. It's great. Or just go by yourself. It's great.
Whatever, yeah. However you want to see it. Okay, now let's go to some more serious stuff here. So this other one is called The House of Gucci. We talked about this a couple weeks back. Here, the story of the Gucci fashion family.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting, right? What I picked the little nuggets out of your review. Well, he called it bloated and dull, but
it's bloated and dull. And it shouldn't be. It should be a comedy. And nobody involved in this is realizing that it should be a comedy. It is about, as you mentioned, the design label family. And it's principally about Patrizia, who married into the family, married Maurizio. And she was eventually accused and indicted for hiring a hitman to kill her husband.
Wild stuff.
Exactly. But it's filled with that kind of horrible Italian acting.
Cartoonish.
Yeah, we're the Gucci's. And it's basically 2.5 hours of people yelling at each other like, we're the Gucci's, and you do not enter the family like this. And it's like, oh, stop. Why is no one understanding that this is a camp classic in the making? Instead, it's 2.5 hours of really dull family dynamics. Lady Gaga is doing her best, but beyond that, you've got Al Pacino just hamming it up to the rafters, and Jeremy Irons and Jared Leto, who's the worst. And it's, oh man, it just kept going. It was so... It was so misconceived, is what I'll say.
It was when you wrote something about a comparison to a Lifetime movie in there,
Oh,
that I was like, ooh.
It should have been a trashy Lifetime movie. That would have been great, but it's
yeah,
not.
Then you would know what you were getting.
Yeah,
like, yes.
It's designed like The Godfather, and it doesn't have the material to merit The Godfather.
Okay.
Yuck.
All right, let's move on now to the new ones here this weekend. First up here, this one is called Encounter. This is out of Amazon, right?
Yes.
That's going to be in theaters and then on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
This is
indeed sci-fi thriller-y type thing. Yes. This takes place in the American Southwest. There is an asteroid that crashes into the planet, after which the insects start behaving strangely, and the humans start behaving as though they might be possessed by some kind of alien force. Riz Ahmed plays a former Marine who is going to rescue his sons. He's estranged from them, and their mother apparently is one of the people who is carrying this kind of alien thriller virus. And so it becomes a road trip. It's, as mentioned, Riz Ahmed, just one of my favorite actors. Sound of Metal got nominated for an Oscar, of course, last year. Has Octavia Spencer. And it's getting good reviews. So, yeah, let's give it a shot. Looks kind of fun.
Yes. Last but not least here, our next one here. This is from Netflix. This is called The Power of the Dog.
Indeed.
I feel like we've been having more of these Westerns all of a sudden coming back.
Yeah. I wonder if that... It's interesting because I'd be curious to know if that has anything to do with the pandemic, where there's a lot of open space and not a lot of characters.
You can spread out.
Exactly. That might be the way. Who
Maybe,
knows?
That's a good theory.
I'll do some research. Anyway, this is Jane Campion's new film. She won an Oscar for The Piano about almost 30 years ago. It's her first movie in 12 years. She's a master. This is set in 1925 Montana, where a pair of brothers played by Benedict Cumberbatch and Jesse Plemons have a cattle ranch. Jesse Plemons' character falls in love with a local widow, played by Kirsten Dunst, his real-life partner. They have a child together in real life, and she has a teenage son. They move into the ranch, and this does not make Mr. Cumberbatch happy at all, because she is absolutely changing the family dynamic. It looks like it's going to be really intense, really dramatic. Great actors, great director.
Yes.
You color me invested. I'm on board.
Get excited.
Yeah.
Mike,
indeed.
as always, thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.
All right, the movies in review from last week, 2 weeks ago, whichever. Ghostbusters Afterlife, Encanto, and House of Gucci, and then new out this week, Encounter and The Power of the Dog. You can, of course, read Mike's movie reviews always inside the latest River Cities Reader on stands everywhere and online at rcreader.com. If you want more information on today's movies, our website is ourquadcities.com. Stay